welcome to Contrast Podcast Season 2. I'm Lexi Tenney, one of your hosts, joined here by your other hosts, Mike Jones and Peter Deltondo. And we have an internet design legend with us today. James Barnard is here on the pod in the studio where he records his Instagram videos, and I'm geeking out just slightly because I'm a big fan. It is so good to have you on the pod. Welcome to Contrast.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate it. Yeah, it's real. It's not a virtual background. You can touch it. The pictures are actually here. But yeah, thank you very much. You were saying off air before, you were fangirling a little bit. It's very, very appreciated. I can't wait to chat to you guys about everything agency space and our industry. And yeah, thanks again for having me. It's so cool.
Just kind of right off the bat, we're launching into season 2 with your episode, and we're talking all about growth. And I think what's so interesting about your story is that you did not maybe set out to be a designer. And I want to dig into that a little bit. But yeah, we're talking about growth. And I think one of the kind of main ways that people track growth now is via social media, and you've had some success in that field. So I definitely want to kind of dive into that. But just on the topic of growth, where would you say is like, oh, this is how I measure growth, or this is how, when I hear growth, this is what I think of? Are you thinking of numbers? Are you thinking of portfolio pieces? What does that look like for you?
It's certainly not followers. Let's get that out of the way straight away. Yeah, one thing I've noticed, even though I've got a fair few followers on social media now, that doesn't lead to any kind of success whatsoever. I don't know whether it's the nature of social media these days, but followers just doesn't mean anything other than maybe if somebody comes to your profile, sees that you have a lot of followers, and it looks like sort of, the social proof. If enough people follow this guy, maybe he has something to say and maybe I should listen. But actually, in terms of like converting from my business, it's not, the biggest number at all. For me, it's like clients through the door for my studio, right? It's actually trying to convert that social media into leads for my business. And I work really hard at like trying to set up all the funnels, put them all in place so that when people do discover my content, it's easy to get in contact with me. And that's the sort of success metric, I guess, I found for all of this social content, is whether or not it actually drives people and customers to my business. Otherwise, why am I doing it? What's the point of this whole endeavor?
Because you love it.
Yeah, that's true. Right. Sorry, you caught me out there. Yeah, I love sharing the knowledge and raising our industry up as a whole. I'm not self-centered at all. I'm not. It's not completely self-serving. And look, in all seriousness, Mike, that's a great point. Yeah, I do have to enjoy this in order to like keep doing it, because if it becomes like a drain, then it's going to be really hard to maintain it over time. And yes, one of the great things about making this content is that I get messages from people saying that, I've helped them in whatever way, that whether it's like learning a new software trick or just being a little bit inspired from day to day. I absolutely adore that. And I think, we designers need to be raising the industry up as a whole, don't we? Like, sure. Especially right now, it's a bit of a weird time for designers. Yes. So I think, anything that I can do to encourage the next generation to come through is really rewarding. And I love every minute of it. If I can make a bit of money for my business at the same time, so be it.
I mean, if you can raise your family and do what you love, it's a win-win.
Yeah, win-win, right?
Definitely.
Absolutely.
I think a lot of people know you, right? Like you have, like you said, you don't care about the numbers, but you have a lot of numbers. But you didn't always have a lot of numbers, which I appreciate.
Right.
It's like you started this homegrown and you got to this place you're at now, and. One, what does that feel like? And two, can you walk us through like that moment? Like, tell us that story, because if people don't know that, some people don't know the story of how that happened to you, and I think people would enjoy hearing it. So, like, tell us the whole story of how that went down.
Well, how far back do you want me to go?
I think you go back to the day where you were
in Colchester,
where you were stitching the TikTok, and like all of a sudden, boom, you got
Okay. So yeah, I'm like a 15-year veteran graphic designer. I've worked in-house in the publishing industry mainly. It was like my first job. I worked in magazines as I was coming up as a designer, eventually went freelance, eventually moved to Australia from the UK. And while I was in Australia, kind of, trying to find my feet in this new country and trying to bring in, more clients to my business, I just started trying a little bit harder on my social. So I was on TikTok kind of posting, those kind of top-down videos of me sketching and then turning a sketch into a vector, just trying to put out some kind of social media content to bring people to the business. Wasn't doing great. I mean, it's doing pretty terribly, if I'm honest. Those kind of time-lapse videos working in Adobe Illustrator, no one was really watching them. I was doing pretty well on Reddit, actually, weirdly. Reddit was like my big success story. I got loads of popular videos on the graphic design channels and the logo design channels on Reddit. They loved those time-lapse videos. They were great. Turning a sketch into a vector, turning something like a simple slogan. You remember we were in lockdown and everybody was hoarding toilet paper? Yes. I made a slogan that said, slow your roll, and I put a toilet roll in the middle of it and then turned that into a vector. And that exploded on Reddit. That was really good. Brought in like a couple of clients here and there. And while I was doing a bit of client work, I had I was mucking about with those sort of concept logos. I made a logo for when we went into the second lockdown in the UK, called Lockdown 2. I made a 2 with a keyhole in the minute. And it's a really sort of abstract logo, and people loved that on Reddit. It was doing really, really good. So I submitted a bunch of logos to this to Bill Gardner's book, The Logo Lounge, and I got 3 of them accepted. And I was like, yes, this is amazing. Big success story for my tiny little business. I was like, can I call myself a published logo designer now? Am I an award winner? Technically, this is brilliant. I'm going to splash this all over my LinkedIn profile. It's going to be great. And so I thought, you know what? This is a really cool moment for me. I'm going to brag about this on TikTok. So I used a stitch from somebody else's video, and the hook in the stitch was, give me an example of when of something that's a niche flex to you in your industry, but that means nothing to the rest of the world, but in your industry, it's kind of cool. And I basically bragged about getting in this book. And there's all sorts of weird and wonderful quirks with the video. Like I was looking after my 1-year-old son at the time. He was wailing in the background. It kept distracting me. I was clearly really proud of myself, just excited and giggly about the fact that I got in this book. Posted it, went off to the shops. About 6 hours later, my phone starts going ding, 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 ding. And it just exploded. And over the next week, I think it went up to 3.1 million views. And it was the first proper viral moment I'd ever had on my account. Now, and because I'd been posting all of those time-lapse videos and Illustrator tutorial kind of converting sketch to vector videos, when people found my account, there was probably 40 videos behind that viral one. They were like, wow, look at all this. And I got loads of likes on my old posts. Man. And then, I had 17,000 new followers within that week. It was absolutely wild. And then I got loads of questions about, can we see the logos? Can you show us more? And I started making more videos off the back of it. And then, I just kind of decided to keep that, keep the hype train going, just keep posting more and to try and continue off the success of that one video. And that was 5 years ago. And I've just never stopped posting, 2 or 3 times a week ever since.
That is crazy cool. So I heard that moment led to a lot of leads for your studio.
Yeah.
Did that happen? Was that
when I think when the dust settled, it was 70 leads from that one video alone. It was crazy. And I was just spent all my time just going back to them all and trying to, clear through them. And at the time I wasn't charging what I was worth at all. So my wait list was absolutely smashed. I had a 3-month wait list after that one video. I was like, this is insane. One free video that I've made has just changed the face of my business overnight. I was like, wow, I need to be doing this more. And that's why I've just continued doing it. And it's if you can target the content in a way that's helpful for designers plus, sells to clients in a sort of roundabout way, then why would I not continue to do this? It's been an absolute game changer.
And you didn't know that was going to happen. You just went off the shops. All of a sudden it blows up. And then were you kind of what was the feeling? Were you terrified? Were you I would be what's happening?
When it first happens, right? You're somewhere between feeling like a celebrity and a crack addict, right? So you're
that's so
you're buzzing about the amount of people that are watching you, and you think, wow, that's insane. Wembley Stadium amount of people have just watched my video. This is incredible. And then at the same time, you're relentlessly checking the statistics on it. I remember refreshing my phone, trying to get that when it was creeping towards 1 million views, I was like, I've never had 1 million views before. This is insane. And when it went over 1 million, I was like, yeah, like blowing the party poppers and stuff. It was amazing. But over the years, obviously, the tolerance for that success is kind of like, flattened out a little bit. When I get 1 million views now, it's like, whatever, it's easy. That sounds really big headed, but like, it's honestly like, that kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? Like my serotonin levels don't kick in quite as much when I get those, those statistics on a video. What really floats my boat is when those statistics on a video converts to, sales and traffic to my website and sales to my business. That really excites me. And that's one of the things that I've been trying to do, work a little bit harder on as this content has kind of progressed.
Man, so something that you mentioned that was really key is like, it wasn't that one video that was the success. Like you said, there was 40 others behind it that when people saw the one thing that caught their eye, they went, oh, wait, there's a lot more substance here. Yeah. This guy's really good. Like, let me go check out the rest of this. It hadn't gotten the eyeballs yet. And that's where sometimes as we talk about growth and for people, watching or listening, it's not that one break and like all of a sudden it's there. It's all the work that led up to that helped produce that moment that got it out there.
I reckon so. Like I have a lot of friends in the industry who have had similar moments. And for one of my friends, Liz Mosley, she's one of the speakers at Adobe Max.
I just talked to her the other day.
Expert. Did you? I love Liz to death.
Yeah, she's
incredible. Awesome. She had the same thing happen to her. I talked about this in my talk at Adobe Max. She had a viral moment, but it was like her second ever video on TikTok, and she hit like 1 million views on the video. But because she had only one video behind that viral one, it didn't lead to many new followers at all. Do you know what I mean? Like you're right. You kind of, in order to sort of piggyback off the back of that virality, you need to have kind of content behind it. And now that I do, I've got like 900 videos on Instagram or something stupid like that. It's ridiculous.
It's a lot of work.
So 900 posts, okay, at least, but before the days of videos and carousels and all that crap. But yeah, I've done at least 600 videos on TikTok, okay? And now when people come to my account, it's like binge worthy. You can spend hours on my account just scrolling through video after video after video.
I'm done.
Honestly, you could go for like a year's worth of content and not find something new. I've started to repeat myself a little bit now, but I'm running out of content ideas because I've been doing this for so long. But yeah,
oh, dude,
right, like having that work behind you. Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Well, look, it's taken a while to get here, but I've really sort of found a groove with it now, and I just basically just being more of myself and not trying to like pretend too much. I think that's another thing as well, is like to stay consistent with it. You really do just have to be yourself and not try and fake it and pretend like you're someone else. Like I've met a lot of these other designers. I've met like Will Patterson and Chris Do and James Martin. Yeah. They are all exactly like they are on camera.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? They're not like faking it for the gram. They really are genuinely. That's who they are as people. I think that's a big part of it. If you're not yourself and you don't show up as who you are online, it's going to be really hard to maintain that over years and years of posting content and just basically acting every time you do anything. So yeah, I guess
that's why we have Mike dance on our social media, because he's just dancing.
He's doing TikTok trends. I love it.
But you are that guy though in person. I mean, I've been a follower of your work for a long time, and love the learning, the stuff that you teach me through the tips and tricks for Illustrator. That's even I've been doing design for 25 years, and I still learn something new from you. You're not just a persona on your Instagram videos. You are what you are in person. It's the same thing you get with the video. And I love that when I met you in person, it was like we hit it off. It was great. And you're right about all the other guys that you just mentioned and girls that they're great. They are those real people in real life, and I love it. And so thank you for doing that.
Well, thanks for saying that. And look, you're not the only person who said like you find tips from my content. Like I get two types of people message me and say, they find it helpful. One is like people like yourself who've been in the industry for a long time, who've done things a certain way, don't necessarily know all of the new features of the software.
For sure.
And all the new workflow tips. And if I can show somebody, an old hat at this, how to go a little bit faster, it saves them hours in their original sort of workflow. And then I get designers who are just coming out of school who've never seen this stuff before, and they find the content helpful because it's like they're learning it for the first time. So it's kind of two great audiences, and I love sort of serving them both. It's so cool that I can actually help sort of both generations or multiple generations of designers. And then there's the clients who are maybe looking to get a logo done. They they look at my content and see what it's like to work with me. So it's this perfect sandwich of audience. You know what I mean? You're helping people, but at the same time, you're setting yourself as the expert. So it's so self-serving. It's unreal.
I'm going to get off topic for just a second. I'm so sorry, y'all.
Do it.
You mentioned the fact that you like the fact that students coming out of school haven't learned it yet, and you're teaching them these. How do you feel about that? The fact that we have generations of the next generation of designers that's coming out of college programs and they're not prepared.
It's interesting, isn't it? My daughter is, I'll take. My daughter's like 7 years old. She's starting to show the initial sort of, traits of graphic design. She likes to draw. She's really interested in what I'm doing. When she comes into the office, when she gets home from school, she's like, what logo are you designing today? She wants to know all about it. I'm like, is there something I can foster here? She can can I nurture her into this business? And I would love for her to maybe join my agency one day and help out Dad and get some awesome. Learn on the job. But at the same time, would I suggest to her to go to school for it? And I'm not sure I would. It's interesting, isn't it? Like it's especially how expensive university education and college education is these days. It's insane, and you can learn almost all of this online these days. It's nuts. I love the transparency of our industry, and I love the fact that everybody is teaching, and it's great because the people who teach are gaining a little something from it. They're getting followers and work to their business. But at the same time, our whole industry is like raising up as a whole. Like, we're all sharing now. It used to be like so locked down, and all the agencies would never explain their processes, and it was all like no one knew what to do. When you were first sort of tackling the industry, and these days everyone's sharing their process, everyone's sharing how they did it, they're showing the behind the scenes, and even going as far as making tutorials on the bloody software in order to do it. So you literally can just spin up something by yourself and have a real red hot shot at starting your own agency. What I would probably suggest to my daughter, she's doing this, is to try and get a job as soon as humanly possible doing it.
Find a mentor.
Yeah, exactly. Learn on the job. Get paid while you're learning. I can't. 100%. Lots of people like to go freelance straight out of school or straight away when they're ready to work. And it's too soon.
It's a lot. Well, and you're not just designing. Then you're having to think about, you're invoicing people. You're having to do client management and relational management. Like, there is a lot that you have to manage when you're freelancing that isn't part of like actually designing and honing that craft. Right. And I think as someone who freelanced early on, I was overwhelmed 99% of the time by all the stuff that wasn't design. And I remember my first design job being like, oh, I have a boss who handles the client yelling at us. Like, I don't have to deal with that.
Yeah, right.
There's some protection there too. Yeah, I sent Peter to yell at people.
Yeah.
But that's a really good point, though, about our designers trying to do this by themselves from day one. Wait until you do your first tax return. Wait until you have a tricky client. You have to project manage. What happens when you schedule 5 jobs to all start at the same time, and suddenly every client is yelling at you, which still happens to me. Look, nobody teaches the business side of graphic design apart from the big dogs like Chris Stowe at The Future and a few other select individuals. Jamie Brindle for one, Rob O'Rourke for another. If you're looking for somebody to follow, they're really great at that.
Nice.
And it's hard, isn't it? Without that learning, without being on the job and learning how to speak to clients, it is really tricky. I think one of the best, I had a boss who was very good during my job at Bauer Media, where I was working in magazines, and she really kind of, I don't want to say took me under her wing, but she just showed me the ropes basically. And she did a few great things for our team. And one of them was to get us to rationalize our work while we were sending it off to even internal teams. So every time you would design something, she would get you to write a paragraph of why you did what you did within the design. And that got you to think about that while you were designing.
That's cool.
So you wouldn't overly add other elements that didn't need to be there, because later on you were going to have to justify why you did it in this paragraph. You start thinking about why am I adding this drop shadow? Why am I adding this border? And so
that's a smart
got us really practiced like how to pitch our own work and how to sell our own work in, and why we've done the things that we did, and made our work really kind of clear and uncluttered. But also just like how to present and how to speak in front of other people. And she got us to do like internal knowledge share sessions where we would have to show up once or twice a week. We were going to a meeting room for half an hour, and everybody would have 5 minutes to present something cool they'd seen that week, whether it was like cool graphic design or something new in the industry that people hadn't seen. It got us to sort of share what's new and what's up and coming within our industry, but also at the same time, she was teaching us to be public speakers. She was teaching us to present in front of a room of people, even though it's just 6 of us. Some people, especially some of the developers and junior designers, were really introverted and struggled with it, and it got us out of our shell a little bit. So when it came to like working with clients later on, I was easy peasy. I can speak to clients all day long because I've just done it so many times in my previous job, and I never ever would have learned that had I not had a job with a great boss and somebody to kind of mentor me, and where I learned on the job and learned how to do it. Trying to figure that out for yourself takes a long time. And I think it's, and one of the points, sorry to ramble on here, but also
no, it's great.
This is so good.
As a young designer, you don't know what you like about the industry yet. Like I've tried it all. I've done Flash animation. I've done After Effects. I've done print. I've done digital. I've done, you name it. I've done it. The only thing I think I haven't done is 3D. And I was just so crap at it that I never.
I'm with you right there.
But like,
it was not my cup of tea.
But like, it's tough. So by having that in my industry and like working as an actual working graphic designer, I got to try everything. I got to figure out the parts of the industry that I liked the most, which ended up for me being branding and logo design and visual identity. And again, like, I would always second guess like my choice in life had I not like tried absolutely everything from like magazine design to digital to websites to, Flash banners, MPUs and leaderboards and email newsletters and all that crap. I've done, honestly, I swear I've done everything within graphic design. So now I know what I love because I've done it all.
But you didn't come from that, did you?
What do you mean?
Your degree, you went to school, studied music electronics.
Wow, you've done your homework. Yes, that's exactly right. I wanted to be a record producer.
How did that go from that to that? Like not that, I mean, it's a weird transition, but how did you get? Yeah, you have done it all, literally, but you decided to steer away from that and go into design, and then now you've done all of the design. How did that happen?
Yeah, well, but you're right. Like in a former life, I was like a database entry office worker / sort of project manager. Slash wannabe drummer / wannabe music producer.
Hey.
Like I was
play?
I was in a band at school. I played the drums. Yeah, I got to sit
Lexi plays the drums.
No way.
I'll bust out More Than Words for you. That's the only song I know.
Let's do it.
Blackbird by the Beatles. That's all I can play.
There you go.
But I studied.
If you can play the Phil Collins In the Air Tonight, Phil, you're set.
Easy peasy. That's easy. That's a no-brainer. So when I was at school, I wanted to be a music producer, and I went to university and I studied music, multimedia, and electronics. And I was terrible at it. I didn't get a very good result in my degree at all. It was really like the electronics portion of it was I was in over my head. It was really complex. I really struggled with it. Also, I was a bit lazy at university. I didn't go to all my lectures, and I got like a 2.2, which is like
who hasn't done that?
Yeah,
I was gonna say every kid in college right now is like.
But there was one module in my degree that was HTML, and so I learned how to basically build simple websites using tables. And obviously, this is the days before, extreme CSS.
The youngins don't know the dream.
This sounds so familiar. Yeah. So I don't know if they know what you're talking about.
I'm like, this is what I grew up in.
Yeah. So I basically built websites in tables, and I knew enough about. The great thing about that is that if you could build websites in tables, email newsletters, when they were first sort of getting big, email newsletters you had to build using tables because they were so strict. And these days the email clients can do almost anything, but back then they were really you had to make your email work in Microsoft Outlook 2003, which was not easy to do. And so I used those skills, my first graphic design job, to actually do a little bit of dev work and slice up Photoshop files into email newsletters. So yeah, I really have done it all.
You have done
That's awesome.
literally everything. My goodness.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah. I'm 41, so I'm showing my age a little bit there, but yeah, it helps. It helps to have this have seen the industry from when I first started and building newsletters in tables and building in Flash and animations to see what it is now.
Rip Flash.
It makes me really respect what we have now, and clicking remove background as one button, whereas I used to have to cut it out with the pen tool.
Right. This used to take a long time to do.
What a world we live in.
Awful, man.
I think a key thing that Mike was talking about before, with school too, I'm curious if we're going to start to see schools or programs close down to some extent because of how easily available all this stuff is on the internet. That if it were me, I've said this before, if I were to go back, because I went to design school and I basically just threw away that money, I'd go to YouTube EDU, and then I would find people like James and Mike and others that it's hey, can I intern with you, or I will pay you to let me be your apprentice and let me really learn. That's so much more valuable. I remember when I was in school, they're teaching Flash, and I was like, why? Flash was it came out that this is dead and going away and no longer supported a year and a half ago. Why are we still teaching this as a curriculum? This doesn't make sense. What's the next?
A lot of schools are still doing that kind of stuff.
So it's what's it's going to have a different level of accountability for schools and programs, where if you're not teaching what is actually putting out good work and resulting in your students getting hired and getting good jobs, those schools are going to start to go away. And I'm curious if some of the programs at some of the colleges are going to, I don't know, do we see a 5 or 10% decrease over the next 5 years? Versus people just being able to learn themselves.
The whole education space is it's going to be the Wild West in the next few years, isn't it? I think the struggle is that the curriculums can't move fast enough with the technology. The technology moves so quickly now. The curriculums can't keep up. You have to change the lesson plans every year to adopt all of these new features that are coming out. It's so fast paced and it's so quickly moving that how do these education systems keep up? It's really going to be tricky. I think there's going to be a divide between software skills and learning and then the design history, which I do think is important. And one thing that I really missed out on because I didn't have an education in graphic design, I had a completely different degree. I've found that I've come to it a lot later, the education side of things and the history behind graphic design and why things are important and why we do what we do today. And then connecting those dots afterwards, which is unfortunate. I would love to have known the background of some seriously talented designers from the 60s and 70s who've paved the way for us, and I know nothing about them, and I'm kind of embarrassed to say I probably still don't know enough about them. So that's and I think that is important. I think looking back at what are the greats have done and why we are here today because of them, that's really important, and that can really help when it comes to forming layout today and forming the intentional stuff that you do within design about what the Gestalt principles are and how color theory works and why we use CMYK in our printers rather than RGB, little things like that people don't necessarily learn if they do it themselves. It's just something that I've started to do a bit more of in my content is going back a little bit and talking about the mathematicians behind why we have Bezier curves. I
like those ones.
Yeah, those are fun.
They're so fun for me. I like to make content like that. That's really kind of because it's an excuse for me as well to go back and research it and find out more about it myself. And it's so interesting to me talking about George Bull, who's the guy who sort of figured out how binary systems work and what that means in today's terms with the Pathfinder tools in Adobe Illustrator. It's all kind of connected to an 18th century mathematician is the reason why we press Unite in Adobe Illustrator. That's crazy to me. I love it. So I think now I'm sort of diving backwards a little bit and trying to relearn all of this stuff, because I didn't have that education. So I would say that is important. I think learning about the history of design, and then the software stuff can be taught online. There's no doubt about it. You can learn everything you need to learn from either courses from somebody like me, or like just the plethora of free content that's on YouTube right now. It's crazy.
Oh, it's amazing.
Yeah. Something that you said really, I think, resonates with the way that we think about things, which is that we never want to stop learning and stop growing. And I do think, I see a lot of kind of my generation of designers. There's this wealth of knowledge, and I think the people that really come out successful are the ones that just have the hunger to keep growing, keep knowing things, keep learning things, keep asking questions, because it's true. Like you could learn to do pretty much anything on the internet. Like I think of, like, I have a friend who's like, oh, I work on my own car now because I just YouTube everything. Like my car is common enough that I YouTube it, I figure it out, right? We couldn't do that 20 years ago. That was not something we were able to do. And I think of even just in the short time that I've been in this industry and around just really talented designers, I feel such a privilege to be able to ask them questions in such a casual way of just like, I hit mic up sometimes and I'm like, hey, how do I do this? And like, but you have to be independent enough and have enough initiative to go and do that now, because it's just out there. I think the people who sit on their hands and go, well, nobody's teaching me. It's like, okay, well, plenty of people will teach you. You have to go and ask them and find that information.
I think it's also about like asking the right questions as well, like knowing what to ask. I'll give you an example. Like I when I first wanted to do halftone dots in Illustrator, I didn't know what that was called. Halftone dots, like Liechtenstein dots. I was like, and I had to figure out like what that thing is called by like typing it into Google. When you do like repeated dots together, that makes a pattern, and sometimes it can make a shade, but in one color. What's that called? And like it took me like half an hour.
Sometimes it looks like the comic books, and I've totally had those Google searches. Yeah,
right. So that maybe that's where design education does come in, right? You look back at learning from people like artists like Liechtenstein and stuff that figured all this stuff out for us, and then what to Google in order to kind of help yourself. But look, realistically today, I could have just gone into ChatGPT and asked that question; it would have figured it out for me, wouldn't it? And that's another thing as well. It's like, yes, there's lots of like YouTube tutorials about how to learn everything, but there's also like large language models that we can ask questions to and then refine answers. And wow, like the education really is like boundless now, and it's all free. So it's the wild west right now, isn't it? Like just like what
it definitely is.
Imagine being like a student right now, trying to figure out what you want to do when you grow up. Like it's going to be so difficult to decide that, knowing that all of the technology is out there now and what it can do. How do we find
Claude,
value
what
in this
job
space?
should I apply for?
Yeah, ask AI, exactly. Good God.
So speaking of AI, we can't talk about growth these days without talking about it. And you posted a video that, truthfully, I do social media here with Heyo for my job. I'm on socials a lot, finding inspiration, and it's hard to hook me nowadays because I know that everybody's trying to hook me. But you have a video that's talking about AI, and it's this great shot of you opening up this neon sign, and you just shared a really cool story. And I want to talk a little bit about AI because I think there's a lot of different opinions out there right now. And I think we hear a lot of the extremes, but you did such a good job talking about the nuance of how to use it. Could you expand upon that a little bit for our listeners?
Look, I'm nervous to answer this question. If I say the wrong thing,
they're nice.
I will get dragged over the coals.
I'll jump in with you.
I put like general advice. Thank you. I put general advice out there like now to other people on social media. Just don't talk about AI, because the second you do,
stay away.
You get torn to shreds by people. It's so polarizing, isn't it? People have so many opinions on it. It is the muddiest, grayest area you can imagine right now. Look, it's not black and white. Like if I talk about AI on my socials right now, I get two types of people usually. It's like people who are just completely anti-AI, won't hear a word otherwise. It's like, how dare you for even talking about it? How dare you for even giving it space in our industry? It's destroying everything we've done. It learned off everything that we did as graphic designers. It shouldn't be allowed. We should be regulating this. We should be tearing it down. And I understand the fear and the trepidation from it, but unfortunately the ship has sailed. Like, the train has left the station. It's here. It's not going back now, right? You have industries like when Uber came out in London, the taxi drivers were like revolting because, their industry that they'd had control over for so long was getting threatened. And like, you can understand it's the same thing. It's like the fear of it, this new technology is scaring the out of people. Mm-hmm. What I found is like, it is so gray, the middle space. Like, for me, in graphic design specifically, generative versus assistive AI. So you have people who will type in prompts and generate something from nothing. It generates an image or a logo or some kind of scene or photography from literally prompting into, you type in, you get something out. Versus tools like background removal tool, Gen Fill, what else? Like Concept Vector, this brand new feature that came out in Adobe Illustrator, where you scan in your sketch and it does the legwork of you turning that sketch into a vector file for you. And like, it's hard, isn't it? Like, I'm really on the side of like speeding us up as graphic designers, and anything that like solves a workflow problem for us, if that happens to use AI to do it, then I'm for that. If I'm being completely honest, I think like, why would I spend 20 minutes cutting out something using the pen tool because I refuse to use AI to do this?
Yeah,
like, it's ridiculous. Like, it's a one-click button now to do it. So, I understand like the kind of the fear and the anger behind it, but at the same time, you've got to adopt it. Otherwise, you're just going to be left behind. And it's sad. I know, like, it feels bad. It feels like we're cheating using all these tools that, kind of speed us up. There was something cathartic in like cutting something out with a pen tool. It actually, like, cutting things out in Photoshop was what taught me how to use the pen tool and made me a better logo designer later in my career, because I was so good at using Bezier curves and vectors and learned how to use it from all of that legwork of cutting out stuff in Photoshop for years and years and years. And these days, new graphic designers have one button to do it. So all of that skill is lost and doesn't translate later on into something like being able to manipulate vectors to do what you want. So it's so weird. I just honestly, I almost don't know how to feel about like all of these fancy new tools. It feels like cheating, but at the same time, it is speeding me up and it's making me more efficient in my business, and it's improving my workflow, and it allows me to get more clients through the door because of it. The issue, sorry to ramble, but the other issue is the perception of it, right? So outside of our industry, people looking in at graphic design are like, why would you become a graphic designer now? AI can do everything. Like, what would be the point in a graphic designer today? And there's like somebody external looking into the industry, it kind of gets looked down on now, almost, graphic design, because of it. Like, people, ask me, what do I do for a living? And I say, I design logos. And they go, doesn't AI do it all for you? I'm like, no, it really doesn't. And then what I'll say is like, okay, well, fine, go ahead, you try it then. And then I made a video about like how to make a logo using ChatGPT, and it failed miserably, and I couldn't do it. And I'm a professional graphic designer, and I couldn't make AI do the thing I wanted it to do. And I was like, I'll do it myself anyway. But then I get people in the comments saying, you don't know how to prompt, man. You're at prompting, and you're using the wrong models. And I'm like, oh my God, like, I can't win.
The trolls live everywhere.
They do. No, you'll never make everybody happy with it. Yeah, and it's weird. I mean, I was in New York recently for a conference put on by Adobe to talk about this. Like, it's called 99U, and there were loads of people there who were on both sides of the fence. And I chatted with a lot of designers who use AI really heavily in their workflow. I got to ask them questions about it. And one of the people at the conference raised a really interesting point. Like, if you know how something was created, does it make the artwork any less special? So for instance, he gave an example, like, if I show you a sculpture and that sculpture is moving and you feel something when you look at it, does it matter that it was made by a CNC machine or, non-humans? And that's an interesting point, right? I asked that question in my socials, and people were like, yes, it totally matters. It informs the artwork. If I know that it was done by hand or by a chisel, then I appreciate it more. And other people were like, no, I still feel the same way when I look at it. I still feel like, I felt something and it moved me just by looking at this piece. Doesn't matter how it was made. And it throws up all sorts of questions when you start to think of things that way. Like does like good graphic design, if it makes you feel something and it works and it's functional, does it matter how it was made? And I'm totally undecided about that question. Like I still honestly I can't answer it. It feels
I think
it feels
a lot
weird.
of it comes
it feels
down to
murky.
the results, though, because
Yeah.
like you said, could you look at things and do you necessarily know that this was made by a master craftsman or was this made by a machine? Like there's times where that could be harder to tell. I know for us though, we've been seeing a big uptick in clients that I'm going to say not dissimilar to 2-3 years ago, where like all the design subscription services were the rave, and everyone was like, oh, you've got to switch your business into a subscription service. And then guess what? All the regular agencies are getting calls going, I had the worst experience with one of these design subscriptions. I want to hire a real agency like you guys, or a real designer like you. And, I'm never doing that mistake again. And now we're seeing the same thing with AI of like, oh, I paid someone who, they were peanuts, but they were doing it with AI. And like, nothing's repeatable, nothing's ownable. There's legality issues with what's being created and who owns what, or what's trademarked or trademarkable, and all these different things. And now we're getting clients that are like specifically going, hey, outside of like project management uses of AI, it needs in the contract no AI is used. Like that's an important thing that is being asked of.
Yeah.
So I think it's the same thing. We've had this like AI buzz for 6 to 12 months, and now it's really tapering off. And the interest is less about actual AI. And we're finding more clients that are like, hey, I validated my business idea because I use Claude to like code an MVP of an app that let me test it and see that it's real. And like this doesn't, it's held up by like paper clips right now. So I need to build it all over again and like make it out of brick. But it's got me to your door now, and I'm ready to go because I've seen the thing. But like clients know that it doesn't, smart clients know that it doesn't work. And the ones that aren't are the people that are looking to get rich quick and make a buck or whatever, but they don't actually care about the quality. And so I think that's the bigger differentiator that we're going to start to see more and more is AI is great to get to something really fast, test it out, and then afterwards it's pretty much useless. So
I like that. It makes me hopeful for our industry.
Yeah, no, 100%, because it was very doom and gloom for a minute there.
Yeah. There's a definite wave of like anti-AI sentiment right now, isn't there? You're getting like these small businesses getting called out for putting A boards in front of their cafes with AI generated art on it and like getting cancelled in public, and people, boycotting their products. There's a real kind of like people are starting to rebel a little bit against it. But I like the thought of like AI being like a productivity thing rather than an art.
Yes.
But there's also the difference in our industry between artists and graphic designers. Artists are there to put out work into the world to make people feel something. Graphic designers are there to solve problems, right? Why would we not use a bit of an assistive tool to help us to get there a bit quicker and a little bit more sort of efficiently?
No, we're constantly trying to find that balance. And I know we had a big conversation because we were diving heavy into how are we going to use AI? What are we going to use it for? And all of it really was around, project management, operational type stuff. And like our design team was like, we're hearing the word AI a lot. We're like kind of freaking out. And we had to sit down with everyone and go, no. Okay, look. We use it to record our meeting transcripts, so then we can go back and ask questions about what the client said, or make sure that if I said I was going to do something, or if I have a sales call, if I say budget numbers, timelines, it pre-drafts an email for me afterwards that I can go back and triple check it's right. But like that just probably freed up 30, 40 minutes of my time plus context switching to now just have that. That's what we want to use it for. I'm not generating design work with it. I'm not utilizing it for any of that nonsense. But, kind of had to reassure everybody for a minute. Like, no. This is how we're going to use it. And here's all the ways we are absolutely not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole. Yeah. Everyone's like, okay, phew.
That's good to hear. I think more like student graphic designers need to hear that. I get messages from students saying, should I bother going into graphic design because AI is here now? And I'm like, yes, get into this industry, because AI is the only thing AI can do is to regurgitate what's already out there. We need humans in our industry to be pushing the boundaries of graphic design and trying new things that AI hasn't done. And then, to kind of like push the boundaries of what we can do and to keep our industry going. And like, it makes me so sad to think that a student wouldn't try for a career in graphic design because of all of this, this hype around AI and the sentiment behind it. It's kind of depressing.
It's sad.
It makes me hopeful when I hear like, people who are like still trucking, you know what I mean? Still doing this, no matter what's out there, and still being part of this industry and trying to raise the whole thing up as a whole. Just using the tools that are available to be a bit more efficient. Fine. Yeah. Maybe not so generative. That's my opinion on it.
I mean, the way we've kind of looked at it too is it's always that like who comes out on top. And what I mean there is it's people always want to work with the best. And I think AI on one hand has allowed people that would otherwise have no skill or ability to do this to kind of get more in the range of competitive. But then those that are true craftsmen and know what they are doing and are building excellent, amazing things, the bar just keeps moving further and further away from everybody else. And so, not dissimilar to how we would joke around about like, oh, it's 99 Designs or it's Fiverr. Like that's always going to exist. And to me, AI is still Fiverr. Like it's trash. And so, it might put something together that looks nice in one usage, but it's not going to be a cohesive brand system, something a company can really carry through. Right. You're not going to have somebody that it's like, my job is to prompt all of our graphics for the next 3 years and do it with consistency and brand standards like that. That's just not happening.
Right. And so, real clients will know the difference, right? They'll know the difference between like what it can do and what it can't. And that's a great point about like Fiverr and Upwork and those sites that have always been there, like Race to Zero. And those types of clients,
none of our competition.
Like they're not.
None of us are trying to do that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
And this is
no, we're out here competing with the other people that are doing really great work. That's our competition. Yeah. And luckily that's most of our friends. So it's like we're all, kind of competing for the same things. Yeah. But I'm not worried about what somebody's doing on Fiverr.
We just need like a massive commission basis thing. Whenever we refer someone to somebody else, we all get 10% and the whole industry just comes up together with our 10% commissions on each other's work.
But I love that. Yeah. In fact, some of our friends already do that.
They certainly do.
Yeah. And I love that we all take care of each other. But this isn't the first time.
Do you want to explain that in joke there, Mike? What you're talking about? Mike?
Oh, I already know what it is. I will say it's on screen.
I'll spill the tea. I'll spill the tea.
Go for it.
Yeah. Alan Peters, Mike, and I, and a few other graphic designers, we have a little thread where if we have leads that we can't work on, we share it with each other, and one person gets a little small commission on it. It's a great system.
It's
why would you not do that? And like, if you're too busy right now, share the work with your friends. I even go further with that with mine because I have a designers community right now, and if I have clients that come through who I'm either too busy to work with or they don't quite have the budget, I give all my leads to my community and then they can pick it up.
That's incredible.
Business within there. Yeah. And it's brilliant. It's a nice little value add that I can do for free for my community members. It's great. But why would I not do that, right? And I don't take a commission on those. They go into the community and whoever wins it gets the job and it's theirs. But yeah, we have to be helping each other out, don't we? Especially with the perception of graphic design right now, people almost looking at us with like sad eyes and pity. Like, graphic design, you're gonna be all
and
right.
I'm doing that back at them. I'm like, oh, you're doing that for a living? Oh. I'm gonna make a joke on my wife and say, "Oh, accounting. Oh, all right." I'm so glad she does it because I can't do it, and so like have it, and I get to do what I love. Right. So yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah. Well, I joke a lot with, I have a few friends who are in accounting adjacent fields that, I just have no interest in being in. And I just recently traveled and I'm like, I work from home. So like I kept joking that I was just going to like move there and keep working. And they're like, oh, you could just do that, huh? I said, yeah, I can literally work from anywhere. And I saw the like, oh, well, I can't do my job from another country or another state. I'm like, yeah. So it's not all doom and gloom. I think it's easy to. I also think, right, we're all on these little screens, like seeing all the scary stuff, and then like the second we pick up our head and have a conversation, I'm like, oh yeah, we're gonna be fine, guys. Like the humans in the room, we're gonna be okay.
So you're right. Social media amplifies the good and amplifies the bad, doesn't it? And
yes.
You see like the extremes of the world when you're online all the time. I'm online all the time with my business.
That's why I don't do social media. I'm so happy.
Toxic. Absolutely toxic. But you're right. You get out and you meet people in the world, and generally people are not like they are, like it is online. It's not all doom and gloom. It's actually quite a positive place to be. And that's something that builds me up. So that's another point. Get out of the bloody office, get out of your house and go network and go meet some of the designers and talk to people, human to human, and you'll make it a lot better.
So can I just ask on that thread? So I help with marketing here. A lot of that now, just in the age we're in, is social media. I was joking with someone recently and I said, oh, I hate social media. And they said, don't you do that for your job? And I said, yeah. And when I'm not doing my job, I try to stay away from it. But it's really hard, right? Like there's this balance of wanting to be in the know on what's happening and wanting to see all the things that are going on and engage and all of that. How do you balance that? Because you are primarily, using social media as your marketing engine is what it seems. How do you take a step back and make sure that you don't just dive in the rabbit hole?
It's really hard, isn't it? Like you're right. Like it's like 85% of my business comes from social media now. I have to be on it. I have to be on there answering questions in the comments. I have to be posting across 4 different platforms to make any kind of headway. And the depressing part about it is when I don't post, like I took some time off over Christmas. I took about 2 weeks off, just didn't post anything, or I reposted old stuff, didn't make anything new. I lost 1,000 followers just because I didn't do anything. And it's so depressing, isn't it? Like the annoying thing is these platforms push, the more content you do, they'll push your growth for you. So if I accelerated my content from 2 videos a week to 3 videos a week, I would definitely get more followers, but I just cannot make myself do it. I'm now at I'm kind of plateauing a little bit and just teetering up here with the followers that I've got in order to maintain my business. I think a part of it is time scheduling. So, and also seeing it as part of your marketing. So if you're a freelance or a studio owner, and you want to be marketing yourself, I talk about this guy all the time, Jamie Brindle. He has this rule, the 50-50 rule. Half your time should be spent on current client work and half your time should be spent driving new business. And it's like this social media is my marketing. It actively drives my business. So I have to be doing it and I have to make time to do it. So even when I'm swamped with client work, I've got to put the time aside to make a bit of content each week. And it's easier said than done. But you're right. Once you're on the apps, you're getting drained with it. So I'll post a video and I will put my phone down for a good hour and not look at it after I've posted. And then I'll answer the comments a little bit later as it kind of comes in and kind of block my time off. And also little things like I don't have it on at the dinner table usually. When I'm with my kids, I'll try and put my phone down. But it's so hard. These apps are designed to suck on your attention, and absolutely will destroy you. There's tips out there get one of those black and white phones that don't have really bright colors and vivid screens. Get put locks on your apps to stop you using it at the wrong times of day. Put your app in sleep mode so you don't scroll on it at night. But I'm completely guilty of it. I don't follow any of my own advice at all.
What I do is I've got my phone set so at certain times of the day during work hours, I get all the notifications I need for work, and then right when I'm out, it's only stuff related. I'll get text messages, but Slack turns off and whatnot, and it's off. I can't access it, and that stuff helps so much to just disconnect and be present.
I hit notify anyway, just to let you know.
Nice. 4-hour work week advises this. Things about being more productive in your work is to not be constantly checking your phone for apps or notifications like social media or emails. Is to block out times to do it. So every 2 hours check your emails, or every 4 hours check your emails, and to not be let them trickle through and distract you and to not hurt your productivity. But it's so easier said than done, isn't it? To actually force yourself and to be true to it and be strict with yourself. It's really tough.
With your schedule, what does that look like for you nowadays? Because I don't know if you're putting out all this content yourself or if you've got somebody helping out with the content creation, but like, call it a 40, 50-hour work week. X amount of that is sales and leads and running the operations of your business, putting together socials, actual design time. Like how much time are you putting into the, let's call it content creation or the marketing side?
Yeah, literally the same question.
I have a weird day. I have a weird day because most of my clients are in the States or in sort of Europe, and I'm in Australia. The time difference is an absolute nightmare. So I will I get up early and I'll drop the kids off at school and I'll go to the gym and I start my working day usually about 11:30, 12 o'clock. So it's a late start, but then it's solid through from until the kids get home. Or like 5 o'clock if they're staying late, then I'll have dinner with them, put them down, and then I'll go back to work. So from like 7 till 10 at night, I'll do another stint there. So it's a weird day. So the first hour is admin, always clear that inbox, clear all the crap, do all my invoicing, do all my time scheduling, get all of that done the first thing, just so it's not distracting me and annoying me and sitting in the back of my mind. And then it depends on the day. Like Monday, Wednesday, Friday is client work solidly all the way through. Tuesday, Thursday usually is a bit of social media in between there. So what I'll usually do is do a little bit of work in the morning, and then from like maybe 12 till 3, I'll work on a video. And I do everything myself. So I will script, film, edit, post, usually within about a 3-hour window.
Get it?
So yeah, it depends on the level of polish of the content. Sometimes if I'm feeling lazy, I'll pick up my phone and do it. Read off a script, talk to the video, make it really rough and ready. It'll take me like an hour. Sometimes I'll make a really like clever piece of content or a bit more polished, like when I'm talking to myself in the office and I have to play 2 parts of the conversation and I have to change outfits and put my studio lights up. That takes a little bit longer. But I'm getting pretty good at Premiere Pro. I feel so seen
right now.
Yeah.
Do you record all of one side and then record all the other side?
Yeah, you do. So you write the script, you get all of the words, record one side, change your outfit, move the camera, record to the other side, and then clip it all together again. And I can ask myself questions and pretend like I'm not lonely here in the office.
I love those videos.
My twin brother is in here helping me. They're good. They're really, it's a really fun way of like making your content a bit more engaging. Is to have a discussion with somebody else rather than yapping at the camera. And it feels like you're lecturing people sometimes, and that annoys people. So rather than do that, sometimes it's helpful to have a conversation with your alter ego inside the office and talk to yourself, and actually gets the point across quicker. And I did it really recently on a video about like color theory, why CMYK sucks versus RGB when you're designing. Had the conversation with myself about it, and that's like I did that like last week, and it's hit like 1 million views already. It's crazy good.
I was just gonna say I saw that one, and I always appreciate the CMYK jokes as a designer. I feel like those are the ones that consistently get me. Like there's a few now like you've heard enough times and you're like, oh okay, but the CMYK ones I'm always like, yeah, it's the worst, isn't it?
Slightly anemic looking graphics, but like one of the biggest comments in there is like young designers who had no idea about it, and that's another thing as well as like digital versus print, and like so many designers don't know anything about print. It's like, how can you possibly not these days? I mean, I'll admit I'm definitely weaker in print, and that's not my wheelhouse at all. I started out as a digital designer and learned print afterwards. I did it kind of backwards to how most people did it. I still feel uncomfortable in it today, but it's so important to learn and to test. And even if it's just like getting a home office printer for $30 from a thrift store and putting it in the corner of your office just to print stuff out after you've designed, to see what happens when it comes out on cheap printer paper. There's no way to teach that, unfortunately. So you have to just like experiment and try out and see the limitations of it.
It's great advice.
Yeah, I love videos like that. They do really, really well. The older audience are like, yeah, but where's my print guys at? And they get like really kind of like, they come back, they get behind you on it. It's great.
Do you feel like, the internet has this wonderful way of hearing everybody's opinions? And especially with the amount of engagement that your videos get, do you ever feel the struggle while you're working on a project or a video of like, how is this going to be perceived? Even like, I think of like with client work, like you might think, oh, this is so right for this client, but do you kind of have that voice in the back of your head of like, oh, but this is what the internet's going to say. These are what the comments are going to be.
A little bit. And it's actually quite a good thing, I'll admit, because it actually, when you're designing a logo project and you're thinking at the end of this, right, I'm going to have to show this to 1 million followers. This better be good. It makes you step your work up a little bit. You add a little bit of polish to it when you know that I'm going to have to share this with a lot of people and I'm going to have to justify these decisions at the end of the day. I mean, look, I have clients where it's like I'll really struggle with the design. Like I'm working with a design right now that's quite illustrative and it's not really my strong suit. And I'm like struggling with it a little bit and having to kind of brute force it. And I'm thinking in the back of my head, like, there are so many better illustrators that could do a better job than me in this. And then again, I'm thinking about, like, when I post this live later on onto my social media, 1 million people are going to, like, slap me down. And it's a little bit nerve-wracking. But it is like, it's like just having that in the back of your head, knowing that you're going to have to share this with a lot of people, just makes you kind of step your game up a little bit. And I find that really, actually, weirdly helps. And it's also like, I have a little inside my community. We have like a design review section, so I can share work with them before it goes to clients to check silly little things that I constantly miss when I do a design. Is there a penis in there somewhere? Have I accidentally missed out the swastika that's glaring and obvious in the design that I've made? Or, and this is a really important one, is cultural appropriation. Have I designed something that's hitting on another culture that I didn't know about? And if it goes out into the real world, are we going to get in trouble?
It's smart.
Yeah, and
smart.
that's like showing it to as many people as you can within an enclosed space I found is so bloody helpful. And that my guys always spot little mistakes that I've missed or little like kerning problems or things that and it's absolutely amazing. Most designers like me just sit design at home on their own without showing the work to anybody. Like I used to just share it with my wife, and my wife doesn't know anything about graphic design. She's great like from a general perspective, but whenever she gives me feedback, I'm like, you're not a designer, you don't know. It's like, what's it called? You don't know. Confirmation. What's it called? When authority
confirmation bias.
Authority bias. When you don't respect the opinion of the person that you're showing to. Not that I don't respect my wife. I absolutely respect my wife, but just not as a graphic designer.
Pineapple that.
Just not on graphic design.
Cut that out. No, but like she's not a graphic designer, so when she gives me feedback, I'm like, you don't know I did this. But then when I share it to a group of designers, I'm like, okay, I need to listen now. I can't just treat this feedback as like, off the cuff. I need to actually pay attention to what people are saying. And I found that like it polishes my work and actually at least a better sign off with clients, because you're actually kind of, litmus testing it before clients see it. And then sometimes clients sign off no amends, which is the holy grail of feedback.
That's the hard part is, especially, it doesn't matter if you're a freelancer, if you're a team or studio, agency, any of that. As designers, we spend so much time looking at the thing that we are making that the natural reality is we're going to become blind to things. We're going to miss that, hey, this thing over here is slightly misaligned, or this thing over here should be done this way rather than that way. Like you just look at it for too long. So it doesn't matter if it's get a teammate or get a friend, like sign those friendias or something, have somebody that you can show work and be like, hey,
that's it.
I need honest and real feedback. Did I miss something? Did I overlook something? Can I do this better? And find people that give the real feedback, not just stroke your ego and say, yeah, this is great, when really it's not.
Someone's going to be brutal.
That. It's super, super important.
If you don't have someone in your life that you can share it to, or any kind of community or whatever, one tip I would give is to take breaks and to sleep on your work when you're doing it. The amount of times I've designed a logo thinking, this is unbelievable, I am so good at my job.
This is the one.
And I go to bed and I come back to it the next day and go, oh my God,
that's so
this is awful.
What have I done? Taking breaks on your work and allowing enough time within your process to have that within your process is like, I have 2 weeks before I've done a discovery call before I have to send a presentation to my client, and that's 14 sleeps for me to come back to my work to see it fresh the next day. So taking breaks was my number one tip for if you can't share your work with anybody, have a little sleep, come back to the next day and see what you think with fresh eyes.
That's smart.
I love it.
Very smart.
That's really good.
Walk away from it.
Well, I know that we're coming up to the end of our time here. I first want to just say thank you for hopping on, chatting with us. This was honestly such a fun conversation. I feel like we covered the gamut here. Just to end on, like, if there is maybe kind of a thought that you want to give our people, we again kind of span the, like, we have students that listen, we have people that have been in the industry for 40 years. Number one, what do you want them to wait, what?
I heard you. Yeah. He said,
you did mention being 41 earlier, and I just laughed at Mike. We give him a hard time about how old
I'm
he
the
is.
oldest
It's not
person.
his fault.
Whatever.
He's the only grandpa.
It's called wisdom. Okay? Wisdom.
It's experience.
I have the opposite problem. You guys were talking about 2003, and I was like, I was 4 in 2003. Sorry. But I guess, you know, what's kind of like the one sentence kind of token takeaway that you're like, this is what I think people in the industry need to hear right now to give them some hope.
Oh, Jesus. What a way to, what a question. That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Look, I think, like, you know, AI isn't human. We're humans. We can only do human work. AI only does what it's told. You need to be able to, if you're going to, you know, survive in this world, you need to be able to tell it what to do. And if you can't, then do it yourself. I mean, look, like I was saying before about students and new designers trying to get into this industry, please don't let AI stop you from becoming a graphic designer. It terrifies me. We have a shortage of graphic designers as it is. Something like 2 out of every 5 graphic designers quits within the first 2 years of working, because of like either like not enough support, or they just can't push past that window between their skill and their taste. And we need to be like doing everything we can as an industry to help each other out. And I think that is happening. Do you know what I mean? I think like everything that's out there online in terms of like education versus like the networking events like Creative South, for instance, like getting to places where you can actually be with other graphic designers, go and meet other graphic designers, go and hang out. And yeah, just as a designer yourself, do everything you can to lift up your fellow graphic designers. Don't be slamming them down in the comments on social media. Don't be negative. Give them, you know, respectful feedback. Give them constructive feedback. Don't be mean. Basically, my big takeaway is
be a good person.
Just be nice. There you go.
There you go.
Be a good human.
Don't be just be nice. There you go.
I love it. I love it. Well, James, thank you so much for joining us. People can find you on Instagram and LinkedIn and TikTok and all the things. We will put all of your social media down below. And yeah, thank you so much for joining us. This was Contrast Season 2 with James Barnard.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, James.